Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. Kaliya Dharma Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thanks everybody for being here, and thanks to my nephew, brother, friend, companion Govinda for playing Mridanga. I think every family needs a Govinda. So if you don't have one in your family, you should immediately go and just rename. Just choose a family member and rename them Govinda, because I think every family needs a Govinda. So I have to thank Govinda for playing Mridanga. And he's actually the one who chose our reading content for today. So the internet also thanks you, Govinda, for playing Mridanga.
Thank you, internet.
So we'll sing Jai Radha Madhava, and we will talk about how prayers are our secret weapon. And we'll get into a very interesting story about that. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe Govinda Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki
Jai.
Thanks again, Govinda.
Thanks, guys.
So, prayers are our secret weapons. And like I said, I let Govinda choose which story to read. So I'm really excited. And we get to figure out how prayers become our greatest beneficiary, and how those who pray for us can become our greatest beneficiaries. I have my shirt. I love this shirt. This is my new favorite shirt. Incidentally, I got it off of Amazon. It happened to be there. So you too can also get these shirts off of Amazon. So it'll be a very exciting night. We're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, this condensed version that we have been reading from for many, many nights. And this is a pastime that we've actually covered before. But I'm going to add in some new things. So even if you think you've heard a pastime before, there's always something new. Krishna has something new in every pastime. Something that where he reveals himself more and more. So I hope that I can be just an instrument of Krishna revealing himself a little bit more to you all this evening. And we'll start with our mystical, magical incantation, the magic words that will be able to transport us through time and space, through realms. It's like a portal straight into this spiritual dimension. So now we get to travel to Krishna's own abode with the magic words. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I don't know about you, but I feel like we are a little bit more magical already. So this story is coming from Canto 10. And I won't even have to give the title of the chapter again, because as soon as I start reading, we'll already be there. We'll already know who we're talking about. Our music is very dramatic. And I have to thank Keshava for our dramatic background accompaniment. Within the river Yamuna was a lake inhabited by the serpent Kaliya, whose fiery poison constantly heated the water to a boil. The Acharyas explain that this lake was a little apart from the main current of the river Yamuna. Even the vapors created by the poison were so toxic that birds flying overhead would fall down dead. The wind blowing over this deadly lake carried droplets of poisoned water to the shore, and thus all the vegetation and creatures there had died. The Harivamsa further describes the Kaliya lake as follows. The lake was quite wide, 8 miles at some points, and even the demigods could not cross over it. The water was very deep, and like the depths of the ocean, it could not be agitated. The lake was difficult to approach, for the shores were full of holes in which serpents lived. All around the lake was a fog created from the fire of the serpent's poison, and this fire would burn anything that fell into the water. For a distance of 8 miles from the lake, the atmosphere was very unpleasant. How interesting are these snakes that can have poisonous vapor and spit fire? Our snakes of today are like nothing compared to the snakes of Krishna's time. It just impresses upon me how vast this world is. There are mystical beings that are so powerful that we don't even have any conception of how to possibly counteract such mystical beings with such incredible magical powers. But we have Krishna. Sanatan Goswami states that by utilizing the mystic power of Jalastamba, making solid objects out of water, Kaliya had built his own city within the lake. So there's a magical power where you can make solid objects out of water. For all of those people watching Avatar, like, I don't know about any like water benders and all that stuff, but this seems so much cooler. Krishna knew that Kaliya had polluted the Yamuna by his powerful poison, because he had descended from the spiritual world specifically to subdue the envious demons. Krishna climbed to the top of a tall Kadamba tree, which was the only tree that had remained alive because previously Garuda had placed nectar on it. Preparing himself for battle, Krishna tightened his belt, tied back his hair, and slapped his arms like a wrestler. How amazing is our Govinda, which that Kadamba tree is still there today, within the beautiful realm of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So he climbs to the top of this Kadamba tree, and he has his sash around his waist, he got his belt, and he tightens his belt, ties back his hair, because Krishna's hair is quite long at this time. So it's usually around shoulder length. And in some cases, it's even longer, depending upon whether or not his mother has actually cut his hair. But she refuses to cut it very short. So his hair is usually just around shoulder length. Ties back his curly hair. And then he slaps his arms like a wrestler, ready for battle. How amazing is our Krishna? When Krishna jumped into the lake, the serpents became extremely agitated and began breathing heavily, causing the water to become even more polluted. The force of the Lord's jump caused the banks of the lake to overflow up to a distance of 100 bows length. In Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada states that even the cowherd boys who had come to the banks of the Yamuna to play with Krishna, they had even lost their lives by coming near and drinking the water of the Yamuna. So there are birds that have died, there are cows that have died, there are cowherd boys that have died. Krishna then sported in Kaliya's lake like a king of elephants, and while swimming about, he created loud, splashing sounds. Upon hearing these sounds, Kaliya understood that someone had trespassed in his lake. Being unable to tolerate this, he immediately appeared in a challenging mood. Kaliya saw Krishna wearing yellow silk garments, and he appeared very delicate. So remember, we said Krishna, he lives off of milk products. So he's not like sporting a crazy six-pack and all of these incredible muscles. His body looks soft and tender. He was very beautifully smiling, and his lotus feet resembled the whirl of a lotus flower. The Lord was playing fearlessly in the water. Despite Krishna's wonderful appearance, the envious Kaliya furiously bit him on the chest and then completely wrapped him within his coils. How crazy! This snake actually bit Krishna. When the cowherd boys saw Krishna entangled in this way, they became highly alarmed. They had dedicated everything to Krishna, and so when they saw Krishna in Kaliya's clutches, their intelligence became deranged by grief, lamentation, and fear, and thus they fell to the ground. Poor cowherd boys. The cows, bulls, and calves cried out piteously. Fixing their eyes upon Krishna, they stood completely motionless due to fear. Although ready to cry, they were too shocked to shed tears. In the Vrindavan area, 3 types of omens announcing imminent danger were manifest: those on the earth, those in the sky, and those in the bodies of the living beings. Srila Sridhar Swami says that the earth had tremors. Meteors were falling in the sky, and the bodies of the creatures there were shivering, as well as quivering in the left eye and other parts. So, we heard previously that Rukmini had quivering in her left eye, which was a good omen. However, these were quivering in the left eye of the males. So when a male has quivering in his left eye, it is seen to be an inauspicious omen. So when there's quivering in the left eye of a female, then it's auspicious. And when there's quivering in the right eye of a male, it is auspicious. But when there's quivering in the left eye of a male, it is inauspicious. So we have to try and remember it's reversed for men. And usually the left side of the body for a woman is actually auspicious. So sometimes if you have very auspicious threads that you tie around your wrist, sometimes for ladies, they will tie them on the left arm because that's the auspicious side for women. Fun facts. Okay. So, seeing the inauspicious omens, Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men became anxious, for they knew that Krishna had gone to tend the cows that day without his elder brother Balaram. It was actually Balaram's birthday. Due to their unalloyed affection for Krishna, the cowherd men were unaware of his unparalleled prowess, and so they feared that the omens indicated that Krishna had been killed. So one person is asking, this statement about left eyes quivering and right eyes quivering and the sections of the body that quiver and where the omens are, where is it stated? These things are actually stated, they're stated within Mahabharata, they're stated within Ramayana, and they're even stated within Srimad Bhagavatam, as we see here. So within the commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the left side quivering for a male was considered to be an inauspicious omen, and the left side quivering for a female was considered to be an auspicious omen, and vice versa. So I hope that answers that question. So Srila Sanatana Goswami explains within his Brihad Bhagavatamrita what the scene is. The earth is tremoring. There are meteors falling from the sky. There are these different omens that people are experiencing. So then, there are people that are saying, oh no, Krishna must be in danger. And some people run into the city and they say, Krishna has been caught in the coils of Kaliya. Some people have even said, Krishna is dead, because they saw Krishna in the coils and they got a little bit upset, and so they got overzealous and they thought Krishna must have died. And Srila Sanatana Goswami states that Balaram is the one who is able to allay the fears of the Vraja Vasis. He's able to calm them so that they do not also give up their lives on the spot. So Balaram is the one who is able to give that spiritual strength when we feel as though all hope is lost, when we feel as though we can't possibly go on and we have nothing left to hope for. When we feel as though we have nothing left to live for, we can pray to Lord Balaram. He can give the spiritual strength by which we can continue somehow or other, day after day, to have faith in Krishna, regardless of everything that's going on. At this time, Balaram smiled and remained silent because he understood the true position of his younger brother. By following Krishna's footprints, which were marked with a lotus flower, barley corn, elephant goad, thunderbolt, and flag, the residents of Vrindavan hurried to the shore of the Yamuna. It may be wondered how the footprints of Krishna could still be visible, since he had gone along with numerous boys and cows. Sanatana Goswami explains that the inhabitants of Vrindavan would carefully preserve his footprints as great treasures, and thus no creature in Vrindavan would ever walk on them. My Guru Maharaj says that there was a special pact. Within all of Vrindavan, it was understood that no birds, no cows, not even the dust. So the breeze would blow in such a way that not even the dust would cover the footprints of Krishna, because that was their greatest treasure. Their greatest treasure were those footprints. And it is often stated that Lord Balaram is the one who points out the footprints of Krishna and shows the way. And he does this again at another time. So there are a few instances where people pray to Balaram. How can we find Krishna? Where do we find Krishna? Where is Krishna now? And Balaram always looks to the ground, the dust of Vrindavan, and he points out the footprints of Krishna and how to follow them in order to find Krishna again. So when we feel as though we're lost and we can't find Krishna, all we have to do is pray to Lord Balaram. He will point out the footprints. Who is Lord Balaram in our lives? He is none other than our spiritual masters, our teachers, our gurus. We can look to them and ask, where is Krishna? They will point out the footprints. They will help us find Krishna again. As they approached the Kaliya lake, the residents of Vrindavan could see Krishna in the distance, motionless within the coils of the black serpent. Then they saw that the cowherd boys had fallen unconscious upon the ground, while the animals stood on all sides, crying out. Seeing this, the Vraja Vasis became anguished and confused. When the young gopis, whose minds were always absorbed in Krishna, saw that he was within the grips of the serpent, they remembered his loving friendship, his smiling glances, and his talks with them. Burning with a terrible sorrow, they saw the entire universe as vacant. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also speaks like this within the prayers of the Shikshastakam, O Govinda, feeling separation from you, I am considering one moment to be like a yuga or more, and the entire universe is vacant in your absence. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very accurately portraying the very mood of the gopis so that we could understand the mood to follow. Mother Jashoda wanted to enter the water, but she was forcibly restrained by the other elderly gopis. While crying profusely, these gopis stood like corpses, taking turns in recounting Krishna's pastimes to her. How sweet is it that just to get her to maintain her life, just to get her not to jump into the river, they would say, remember when Krishna killed that Putana. Remember when Krishna defeated that Trinavarta. Remember when Krishna killed this Shakatashvara demon. Don't worry, your Krishna will be fine. He will be fine. Stay here. Remember when they said Krishna killed Dhenukasura. Remember when they came back and they said Krishna and Balaram killed so many demons. Don't worry. Krishna will be fine. So we have to seek out those people that can recount to us the pastimes that will help us maintain our lives when we are in the midst of danger. When we are feeling like all hope is lost. When we are feeling like we don't want to go on with our lives, we have to seek out our true friends who will remind us. Remember when Krishna saved you? Remember when Krishna gave you miracles? Remember when we thought all hope was lost and Krishna still saved the day? Krishna saves the day for his devotees all the time. I promise he will do the same for you. So we just have to remember to seek out our true friends, seek out those devotees. Lord Balaram then saw Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men were preparing to enter Kaliya lake. Knowing Krishna's actual prowess, Balaram restrained them, some physically, some by his words, and some by the potency of his smiling glance. That is the power of Lord Balaram's face, looking at beauty personified. Sri Balaram is the actual personification of Krishna's beauty. How beautiful and how heroic is Lord Balaram's smiling face, that just looking at it, it dispels all anxiety, all distress. And for that reason, they don't enter into the waters of Kaliya and endanger themselves. Krishna remained in the coils of the serpent for about 2 hours, imitating the behavior of an ordinary human being. However, when he understood the acute distress of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, he broke free from the serpent's bondage. One might ask, how did Krishna know about the suffering of the inhabitants of Vrindavan? Well, Srila Sanatana Goswami also states within his Brihad Bhagavatamrita that while Krishna was caught in the coils, Balaram was observing everyone on the bank of the Yamuna. He's restraining them. He's trying to keep their lives. He's trying to give them hope. And finally, Balaram calls out to Krishna. He says, Kanha, stop. You have been playing with this serpent. Stop playing with him like this. The inhabitants of Vrindavan are on the banks of the river. They are about to give up their lives. And if these inhabitants give up their lives, who will you perform pastimes with? Stop before you kill them all. You are playing these games and showing your illusory energy. If you kill them all, who will you have pastimes with? You'll have no one to play with. So stop playing with this serpent before all of your friends and family give up their lives and die. So it is Balaram who speaks up on our behalf. When we feel that Krishna has played too many games with our lives, when we feel that we can't go on, we should pray to Balaram. Ask him, speak to your brother. You are the older brother. Krishna will listen to you. Tell him, stop playing games with my life. Stop playing games with my heart. I can't take it anymore. And Sri Balaram will speak up on our behalf. So I think it is so sweet that Balaram was there to, as my friend is saying, perform crisis management while Krishna is playing in the coils of this Kaliya. In fact, it says that Balaram looks on amused, thinking, I'm Anantasesh. Krishna never plays with me like this, and I'm a supreme serpent. I am Lord Anantadev, oh serpent of all serpents, and Krishna never plays with me. But here he is playing with a common, basic water snake. So, Krishna broke free from the serpent's bondage. Being tormented by Krishna's expanding body, Kaliya was forced to let him go. In great anger, Kaliya raised his hoods while remaining stationary. The serpent breathed heavily, poisonous fumes streaming from his nostrils and his eyes blazing like fire, while staring at Krishna with a glance full of terrible, poisonous fire. Kaliya again and again licked his lips with his bifurcated tongues. Bifurcated means split in two. So we see snakes have those forked tongues. However, Krishna playfully circled around Kaliya as Garuda would play with a snake. In response, Kaliya also moved around looking for an opportunity to bite the Lord. Finally, Krishna's endless circling exhausted Kaliya. He got dizzy. Seizing the opportunity, Krishna quickly pushed down the serpent's hoods with his hand and jumped up onto them. As Lord Sri Krishna, the original master of all fine arts, began to dance on Kaliya's hoods, his lotus feet became reddened by the numerous jewels on the serpent's hoods. Jai Govinda! When the residents of heaven, the Gandharvas, Siddhas, celestial sages, Charanas, and wives of the demigods saw the Lord's wonderful demonstration of the art of dancing, they quickly came there. With great pleasure, they began to accompany the Lord's dancing by playing drums and offering prayers and songs. How wonderful! The Lord will dance? Let's go there and sing. Let's make sure we accompany him. Let's play drums so that he has a nice rhythm. Kaliya had 101 prominent heads, and as soon as one of them would not bow down, Krishna struck it forcefully with his lotus feet. My Guru Maharaj says that each press of Krishna's foot was like a thunderbolt striking Kaliya's head. But Krishna's feet look so tender and soft. Can we imagine this dexterous dance of Krishna? Slippery, slippery Kaliya's heads. They're slippery slopes, but Krishna is so agile. He's so nimble, so quick, that he's moving from hood to hood. One second appearing here and another second appearing there. And all of the celestials in the air are playing music and singing songs, bringing life to the inhabitants of Vrindavan. As death approached, Kaliya began wheeling around in extreme pain while vomiting poison from his mouths and nostrils, thus reducing his sinful situation. While exuding poisonous waste from his eyes, Kaliya would occasionally dare to raise one of his heads in anger. Krishna would then dance on that head to subdue it, and each time this happened, the demigods worshipped him with showers of flowers. Jai Govinda, Jai Vrindavan Nath, Jai Vrindavan Natabara. Krishna's powerful dancing broke all of Kaliya's 1,000 hoods. While profusely vomiting blood, the serpent finally recognized Krishna to be the eternal, supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan. Thus, within his mind, Kaliya began to take shelter of the Lord. Kaliya's wives were great devotees, and previously they had often advised Kaliya to surrender to Krishna. Just see. This is the position of having an amazing wife. The wives of Kaliya, they often used to tell him, you should surrender to Krishna, but apparently this great demon would not listen. Moral of the story, listen to your wives. Happy wife, happy life. So, they advised Kaliya to surrender to Krishna. Now finding himself to be on the verge of death, Kaliya remembered their good advice. Kaliya's old arch-enemy was Garuda, the carrier of Vishnu, but now he realized that his opponent was thousands of times more powerful than Garuda, and thus could only be the Supreme Lord himself. When Kaliya's wives saw how the serpent had become fatigued due to Krishna's weight, and his umbrella-like hoods had been shattered by the Lord's dancing, they felt very distressed. With their clothing, ornaments, and hair scattered, they approached Krishna. How amazing that my Guru Maharaj says that even at one point the wives of Kaliya thought Kaliya should be killed by Krishna. They thought, he's so wicked, so envious, such a poisonous human being. He's fit to be killed. He should be killed. But when they saw him in the midst of this greatest danger, and finally he took their advice and remembered and began to surrender to Krishna, they came forward to plead for Krishna. They came to plead to Krishna for Kaliya's life. My Guru Maharaj says that this is the wonderful, wonderful character of devotees. Even if they have been insulted, and even if their advice has been disregarded in the past, somehow their hearts are so soft. The heart of a devotee is so tender that they find themselves still even praying for those that they thought should be killed. Seeing how they surrender to Krishna, they then begin praying for this Kaliya, this envious, wicked personality. So I feel that it is such a great lesson to learn that we seek shelter of devotees. We seek that shelter of devotee association. We have to find our friends. Because my Guru Maharaj says that the prayers of those devotees become our secret weapon. If we cannot progress on the path of bhakti and devotion to Krishna on our own, then we can progress. And we can get there through the prayers of our friends. They can pray to us. They can pray for us, even when we have nothing left ourselves. When we are in the midst of the greatest danger, we can reach out and ask for those around us to pray for us, because that is our secret weapon. Krishna says that his mercy follows the mercy of his devotees, and so he is willing to do anything to make his devotees happy. He's willing to do anything to make the prayers of his devotees come true. So if you have a sangha of devotees, consider yourself the most fortunate. You have a secret weapon. And if you find yourself in trouble, run to that sangha. Run to your friends and say, please pray for me. I find myself in the worst condition. I have no hope. I don't know if Krishna will be there for me or not. But I know if you pray for me, Krishna will listen to you. We should not think that our friends are more advanced or less advanced. It doesn't matter. They have sincerely prayed to Krishna even at least once, and that makes them the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy. That makes them Krishna's friend. So even these wives of Kaliya, they were serpents. They were intimately connected with Kaliya, but still they prayed for Kaliya. And this changes Kaliya's entire destiny. It changes his whole life. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the wives of Kaliya had become disgusted with him because of his demoniac nature. Thus they had been thinking, if this atheist is killed, let it be. We will become widows and engage ourselves in worshipping the Supreme Lord. But then when they saw Kaliya's facial expressions, they could understand that he had become remorseful. They then thought, how fortunate we are. Our husband has become a Vaishnav, so now we must try to protect him. This is the tender-hearted nature of the devotees of the Lord, who are often ladies. We see even in the prayers and the way Krishna goes and speaks to the Brahmins' wives, women are so tender-hearted that Krishna will often so many times exhibit his mercy and his potency and his magical mercy through them, because they are so ready to surrender. So Srila Prabhupada often says that women have been given a very special potency, a very special dispensation, that because their hearts are tender and because they are very emotional, they are very eager to surrender to Krishna, and this makes them very dear to Krishna. Whereas sometimes their male counterparts will not surrender. They think, let me do things on my own. And so Srila Prabhupada says, even though you find so many places where he says that women are less intelligent, what that means is that they lead with their hearts. They lead with their emotions, and in that way, they are more spiritually intelligent. They are more spiritually inclined. So he says, you'll see gatherings of spiritual people, and the majority of people there will be ladies. They will be women, because women are more apt to run to Krishna, to run to spirituality. And this is a great benediction. But we're all spirit souls. Ultimately, our spirit soul is meant to be enjoyed by Krishna and Krishna alone. So in that regard, we all can find some way to connect with this idea of being spiritually hearted. Let us all run to those sanghas where we can find Krishna. Placing their children in front, Kaliya's wives bowed down before the Lord, falling down flat upon the shore of the Yamuna. They offered their prayers. O Lord, your punishment of this envious serpent is undoubtedly just, and indeed it is your mercy, because it is meant for his purification. Is it that Kaliya performed some great religious activity in his past life, so that now you are pleased with him? Otherwise, how is it possible that someone in the body of a serpent, which is the reward of a sinful life, could be touched by the dust of your lotus feet? Think about it. Kaliya got to wrap Krishna up in his coils. In his own way, he got to embrace Krishna. If only he had been thinking of Krishna favorably. But we'll see what happens. For this purpose, the goddess of fortune had performed austerities for hundreds of years, giving up all other desires, just to be touched by the body of Krishna. We offer our obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You exist prior to this material creation, for you are its original cause. We offer our obeisances again and again. By going beyond the screen of material nature, one can approach you. By methodically studying the functioning of this material world, one must conclude that there is a Supreme Lord, and that he exhibits his illusory potency to bewilder those who do not surrender unto him. My Lord, all the material bodies throughout the universe, those that are peaceful in goodness, those that are agitated in passion, and those that are foolish in ignorance, are your creations. At least once a master should tolerate an offense committed by his child or subject. O Supreme Soul, you should therefore forgive our foolish husband, for he did not understand you as you are. O Lord, please be merciful. It is proper for the saintly to feel compassion for women like us. This serpent is about to give up his life. Please give us back our husband, for he is our life and soul. Please tell us, your maidservants, what we should do. Certainly there should be no fear for those who are ready to faithfully execute your order. In this way, the wives of Kaliya turned the heart of Krishna into soft, soft butter. He was going to kill Kaliya, completely ready to do so. But the wives of Kaliya prayed for him, and these prayers were the secret weapon. They changed Kaliya's destiny. So if you want to change your destiny, you get your friends, the friends and the worshippers of Krishna, you get your friends to pray for you. Being thus petitioned by the Nagapatnis, Krishna released Kaliya, who had fallen unconscious. Kaliya soon regained his senses, and while breathing loudly and painfully, he very submissively addressed the Lord. Our very birth as a snake has made us envious, ignorant, and constantly angry. O my Lord, it is very difficult for persons to give up their conditioned nature, by which they identify with that which is unreal. O Lord, please arrange for us whatever you consider proper, whether it be mercy or punishment. Lord Krishna replied, O serpent, you cannot remain here any longer. Go back to the ocean at once, accompanied by your wives, children, relatives, and friends. Let this river be once again enjoyed by the human beings and cows. If someone remembers my command to you and narrates this pastime both morning and evening, he will become freed from fear of you. If one bathes at this place, he will become free from all sinful reactions. Out of fear of Garuda, you left Ramanaka Island and came here to take shelter in this lake. But now that you are marked with my footprints, Garuda will no longer try to eat you. How amazing. We got a benediction just by reading and hearing this pastime. And even if we cannot bathe at that place at Kaliya Ghat, what we can do is bathe in the nectar of this pastime, circumambulating Sri Govinda in our minds, and it is exactly the same. Kaliya joined his wives in worshipping Lord Krishna by offering him fine cloth, valuable ornaments, a large garland of lotus flowers, and various scents. After doing this, Kaliya felt satisfied at heart. Then, taking the Lord's permission, Kaliya circumambulated him and offered obeisances, and then departed for his island within the sea. As soon as Kaliya left, the Yamuna was restored to its original condition, free of all poison by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, Kaliya and Garuda are originally related as brothers. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Kaliya had indicated to Krishna, if you ever have to go to a distant place, you should also think of me as your carrier. In the wink of an eye, I can travel hundreds of yojanas. Thus, the Puranas mention that sometimes in the course of Krishna's eternal circle of pastimes, when Kamsa orders him to come to Mathura, the Lord goes there, mounted upon Kaliya. That is how Kaliya's fortune and his life is completely changed. Sometimes Kaliya is now the mount, the carrier of Krishna. So he says, just as Garuda is my brother and Garuda is your carrier, also think of me as the same, my Lord. Give me that benediction. And Krishna does. So it is said, even within Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Srila Sanatana Goswami, that even though sometimes Krishna goes and he has to go to Mathura, he goes and he rides triumphantly into the city upon Kaliya. And sometimes it is stated that Kaliya gets the most special benediction, something that no one else receives. It is stated that sometimes the very rasa dance is performed on the hoods of Kaliya. And Krishna, he takes a rope and ties it in the nose of Kaliya. And so Krishna sometimes holds this rope and he rides into Mathura. And sometimes he holds this rope as he dances with the gopis on the heads of Kaliya. All of these great things happened because of the prayers of the Nagapatnis. This is what happens when devotees pray for us. Our fortunes can change in a second. And somehow, when it looked as though maybe we should have died, Krishna will not only save our lives, but give us the greatest fortune. Please know that Krishna is changing our stars, changing our fortune at every moment. Yes, He is giving us His causeless mercy at every moment. And if we don't see it, we just have to look around. We've taken another breath. We've woken up. We have not died. Our lives have been maintained. We have to understand that that is happening due to no other reason than Krishna's causeless mercy. Every moment that our lives are there, that is Krishna's mercy. Any and every good thing that happens to us is Krishna's mercy. That is our friend. That is our well-wisher. That is our beloved Lord. And we are so fortunate to have Srila Prabhupada, who brought this knowledge, gave it to everyone, said all of you, each one of you, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what family, what ancestrage, what lineage, doesn't matter. All of you are Krishna's friends. He came to save every single person, rich, poor, black, white, orange, yellow, blue, purple. He came and saved everyone. And he said, you are worthy. You are worthy to touch the body of the deity. You are worthy to now become a Brahmin. You are worthy to perform the highest service in the whole universe. Service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone in the universe, demigods down to ants, is yearning to perform service to Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada came and said, we are all worthy. Gave us the best benediction and asked us to spread it throughout all of the universe. We can do it. All it takes is us coming together, reading together, hearing together, taking pleasure in the pastimes and adventures of our best friend. We can do it. We can spread these benedictions. We can spread this mercy. We can spread the grace of Govinda throughout the entire world and thereby make it the best place in all of creation. Thank you all so much for being with me. I'm so grateful for all of you who pray for me. And please know that I pray for you in return. I am so grateful that all of you come here to listen so that we can all bathe our minds and our hearts in the pastimes of Sri Govinda Dev. We should know that Govinda loves us more than we can ever imagine. And we love him, as my shirt says, which you can get on Amazon. He loves us more than we could ever, ever, ever imagine. And he wants us to come back home. We can do it. One step at a time. One pastime at a time. One prayer at a time. We'll get there. Thank you. I'll see you all again soon for another round of adventures with our dearest Krishna, where we can come together and pray. I hope that you all remain enthused in your day. And I hope that if now is a time when you're going to sleep, you have wonderful dreams filled with Krishna. And I hope that your day brings you closer and closer to experiencing Govinda's magic. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai. All glories to the subduer of Kaliya. All glories to Kaliya Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the King of Scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to the Sangha of devotees. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai.